All right, you guys, question 21. Give 3 different reasons why the graph below cannot be a graph of, and then it gives you like this function. So the first one is the graph here, both ends point down, is negative. This graph is positive. So I'll say 1, negative, 1 is positive. Sorry, let's see here. Another reason is, let's see. Oh, sorry, I had all of these done before I got you. Oh, this has a y-intercept of +1. This has a y-intercept of not +1, whatever number that is. And then I bet one of these one of these x-intercepts is off. So the question is, if I put in 2 into the equation, will I get 0 back? Let's see. So 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, minus 4 plus 1. That is not 0. So this one is not a 0. The other ones probably aren't zeros either. I bet that's not a 0. The -1 might be a 0. Either one of those two would be correct, and the y-intercept one. So that's at least four different reasons why. Question 22. Graph these functions. So I'm going to say step number 1, and let's just do maybe just one of them. Find the zeros, plot the zeros. So let's look at this first function. 2 times what is 0? And that's going to be 0. So I'm going to put a point right there. And then, can I change the color on this pen, you guys? Oops. What did I do? No. Arnold, stop. Thank you. Pen, nope. Well, we're just going to stick with this color, then I'll figure it out later. Where was I? Oh, so I plotted that 0, if you can tell, even though I didn't change the color. This 0 is -2. I got that one. And this 0 is +1. And this has degree 3 because 1x. This x has a 1. This is 1. Multiplicity here. So we have 3. It's a positive. So it's going to come up. Where's my +1? It's going to come up this way and down this way. And because everything has multiplicity of 1, it's just going to go straight through, down, and straight through. So let's look at this last one so that we aren't just dealing with the multiplicity of 1. So let's find our zeros, and they are -1 and +2. And our multiplicity, that wasn't what I wanted to say first. Our multiplicity for this one is 3 and for this one is 2. The total degree, if we add them together, is going to be 5. So we are going to have one side up, one side down. And it's going to be the same way. So this side's going to come up and this side is going to be down. But then what's happening? So this x plus 1, so our -1, 0 has a multiplicity of 2. So it's actually just going to come up and bounce off. Okay? And then this x minus 2, so our 0 is +2, has a multiplicity of 3. When it comes back up, it's going to kind of level off. It's not going to go straight through. It's going to kind of level off like that. Okay, so that's why multiplicities are important when we are doing our graphs. What's next? 23. Find a polynomial function of least degrees. Okay, so let's do one. So how about we do this one? So this has 3 terms. So the least degree polynomial we're going to have is x to the 4th, right? So, and it's a negative, but actually we want to solve for a. So we are not going to put the negative in first. We are just going to put in the zeros and multiplicities. So we have f of x is equal to a. Are we stretching it? Are we shrinking it? I don't know. times, and then let's go ahead and put in our zeros. So we have x plus 2. That's going to be this 0 here, and it looks like it's just multiplicity 1. And then we're going to have x minus 1, and it just touches, so it's going to be multiplicity of 2, so x minus 1 squared. And then over here, we're going to have x minus 3, and that's just going to be multiplicity of 1. And that gives us our 4 points. So coolio. So x plus 3, multiplicity of 1. But we need to figure out if it's being stretched or shrink. And luckily, they gave us that other point, the y-intercept. So when we leave this a here, but we're going to make x. We want to solve this. I'm going to do this over here. Actually, we're going to make y3, that y-intercept, is equal to a times, and every time we see an x, instead we're going to put in a 0. So I'm looking at that y-intercept point. 0, 0, 0. So that's going to give us a times, this is going to be 2. This is negative squared, but it's going to be positive 1, positive 3. So I think if that works out in your head, I'm just going to do it. It should be 6, positive 6. So actually, this is just going to be 6a. 6 times a, or is it going to be, oh, this one is minus 3 over here. I hope you guys caught that. Minus 3 because it's on the positive side. So it's going to be negative 6a. I knew it had to be negative. That's what made me check my 0. So if I divide both sides by negative 6, I get a is negative 1/2, right? Negative 1/2. So the function is actually going to be negative 1/2, that's my a, times x plus 2 multiplicity of 1, x minus 1 multiplicity of 2, times x minus 3 multiplicity of 1. Okay. All right, where are we at? What's next? 23, I just did, and 32. Oh, cool. Use the factor theorem to find all of the zeros. Okay, so we just need to divide. And whether you do synthetic division or just long division is up to you. But if x minus 3 is a factor, that means I can divide it and get another factor. So let's use synthetic division. At the end of the day, it's going to be faster and easier to use synthetic division, even though sometimes it doesn't make as much sense. So we take the opposite of this because we want the 0. So we put a positive 3 on the outside. Then we have just the coefficients. So we have 1, 3, negative 10, negative 24. And then we bring down the 1, multiply. 3 times 1 is 3, and then add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 times 6 is 18, and then add. What? Arnold's playing with his toy. What happens when we add this 8? 3 times 8 is 24. We add this together, we get 0, which means we have no remainder. What does this mean? This means that this is x squared plus 6x plus 8 is what happens when we divide. Come here, Arnold. Hold on. Give me. No, give me this. Okay. So now we know, what does that mean? That means that we know x minus 3 times x squared plus 6x plus 8 is going to give us our original function. And now my zeros are here. So x sub 1 is equal to positive 3. That's what makes that 0, right? And over here, I think I can factor this. Two numbers that add up to be 6 and multiply together to be 8, 4, and 2. So this becomes x plus 4 times x plus 2. So we have our second 0 at negative 4 and our third 0 at -2. Okay, so when you see factor theorem, it means you're going to divide by that factor. You could have done long division. You would have gotten the same thing. Where are we at on time? 10 minutes. I'm going to stop this video. Well, what do I got left? 36. Yeah, I'm going to stop here and make the next video.